best way to prevent a peanut allergy may be with peanuts. I mean, it sounds counterintuitive, but researchers say maybe not. CNN medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen joins us now. This, Elizabeth, is big. And, you know, I'm curious how they even thought to try this experiment, because my first instinct was it seems like a dangerous road to go down, because what if the results were much different?
Right. So what they did was that they gave little babies, we're talking less than 11 months old, little bits of peanut products. And these are babies who were at high risk for a peanut allergy. So you might think, gosh, keep them away. But they just gave them tiny, tiny, tiny amounts. And I want to show you what the results are, because they really are pretty stunning. So the babies who were not exposed to peanuts, 14 out of 100 of them developed a peanut allergy later in childhood. But the ones who were exposed to peanuts, only 2 out of 100 did. So that's a big difference, 14 versus 2. So the results really were, you know, quite clear. Now, you asked about how did they even think about this, and this plate contains the answer. This is so bizarre. This is a snack that is very popular in Israel, and they noticed in Israel that peanut allergies, that they're very low numbers, that just not that many kids have peanut allergies, and they think it's because kids eat this all the time. I've been to Israel many times.
Are these peanut puffs?
They're peanut puffs, and so even like
they're sort of like our
babies,
version of the cheese puffs.
Right, exactly. They're like cheese puffs, but they're peanut puffs, exactly. And so even like babies eat these because you don't need to have teeth, and so they eat them. And I'm always amazed. Babies are constantly eating this stuff, and so they think that's one of the big reasons why you see fewer peanut allergies.
You know, it was interesting. When I first heard about this study, I thought, well, it makes sense, because if you put a baby in a house for a year and don't expose them to any bugs, they tend to be the kids that always get sick, because you're sheltering, their immune system isn't building up. So is it sort of similar to that theory that you're building that up a little bit, introducing it?
That's exactly right. Your instincts are exactly right. And it actually has a name. It's called the hygiene theory. And so the theory is that if you're too hygienic, if you never let your kid near dirt, they're more likely to develop allergies. And there's some science behind it, because they've noticed that kids who grow up like on farms, that they are much less likely to have allergies than kids who don't grow up on farms, because the kids on farms are exposed to all sorts of stuff.
What about those parents that are sitting at home thinking, my child has a severe allergy, and the dangers associated with that could possibly be death? I mean, these are serious
That's a
allergies.
totally different situation. So you do not want to try this on your child with allergies. But as far as
if they have another child and a baby and they're scared to try this early, I mean, how do you handle something like that?
You know, I think you want to talk to your pediatrician, and you can say, look, this sibling, I'm afraid, may also be at a high risk for having an allergy. You know, should we introduce it? Should we not introduce it? And I think before, pediatricians would say, no, absolutely not. You know, wait until they're much older. But I think that's beginning to change. But the problem is that this study was done in like laboratory conditions, right? And it was very closely titrated.
And it has to be very careful about it, I would imagine.
So you don't want to try this at home. You talk to your doctor, but don't try this at home.
But an interesting study, nevertheless, because it could, as we said in the beginning, be huge if this is in fact true. Elizabeth Cohen, thanks for being with us. Take care.